For more on the Republican National Convention, I want to bring in Hoover Institution fellow Lanhee Chen. He served as policy director of the Romney-Ryan presidential campaign in 2012. He is also an NBC News contributor. And Lanhee, what do you think? What Eamon just laid out, the idea that this is a very different Republican Party and that J.D. Vance is the selection kind of cements that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you're seeing it both at a leadership level, but also in the electorate. Some of the trends that we're seeing today really did start back in 2010, 2011, 2012, whether it was a more populist turn on issues like free trade, certainly the tax orthodoxy, the low tax orthodoxy that we've seen on the corporate tax side. That's something where I would expect to see that a potential Vice President Vance and President Trump in a second term might have a different point of view. And you see it, I think, even in the embrace of certain labor unions. That's something that we've never really seen in previous Republican nominees. So this is a definite shift in a neo-populist direction. And I think it's something that bears watching, certainly for decades to come, now that J.D. Vance is the vice presidential nominee.
Lanhee, a number of CEOs, I shouldn't even say a number, basically, many of the major CEOs in America have been waiting. In fact, they would say the one reason that they would like Donald Trump to win more than anything else is the regulatory regime right now. And so the real question is whether you think he's fundamentally going to change the way the current sort of status quo, the Lina Khan, the Department of Justice and the way they've approached mergers, this sort of freeze that we've had on mergers and acquisitions, whether you think that changes in this administration.
Well, I think it's going to depend on issue area. I think the approach to competition is going to bear some similarity to what we've seen in the current administration. I mean, just one example of that are the comments about Lina Khan and competition policy that may have been more friendly from Senator Vance than you might expect from the typical Republican. Now, I think in certain sectors, you're going to see the approach much more forcefully applied than in others. So,
like which ones?
Well, let's take energy and healthcare as two divergent examples. I think in the energy sector, you're going to see a more traditional Republican approach. And part of that's because of the skepticism that's been expressed by former President Trump already regarding some of the issues around green energy subsidies and the promotion of the green economy through the Inflation Reduction Act that we've seen during the Biden years. In contrast, I think in healthcare, you might see an approach that is that's a little bit more disparate. And there, I think the reason is because fundamentally the breaking up, let's say, large health care, that sort of competitive approach that we see in healthcare policy, that is something where I think you might see a future Trump administration have some similarity to what we've seen with the Biden administration.
What about the big headlines of the past couple of years? Big tech and all of the antitrust cases against the big tech companies in Silicon Valley, and also media companies and the possibility of mergers or not in that space.
And by the way, how much of that is driven by not liking some of the players that President Trump may feel have kind of challenged him or taken sides up against him?
Well, on tech, I think you've got to differentiate between what I would consider sort of big tech, old line tech, and new disruptive tech. And I think the Vance pick is going to be really interesting to watch in this regard, because a lot of Senator Vance's supporters thus far have been people from that sort of newer tech economy. And so it's possible that you see an approach that diverges in tech based on the type of technology we're talking about, how established the tech players are. There's no question that former President Trump has been skeptical of some of the bigger tech players, the more established tech players. And so it's possible you see an approach that differs.
Yeah. Hey, Lanhee, you said that there may be some disagreement on like corporate taxes. And I can tell you, we're going to have Oren Cass on in the show later, the American Compass executive director. And I argued with him last time. I said, there's no way Trump's going to have a platform where he's advocating raising corporate taxes. He said 20, I don't know, because it's 21. And that's one of his feathers in his cap from his last administration is lowering the corporate tax rate. Are you saying that J.D. Vance could talk him into proposing higher corporate taxes? I just don't see that happen. I think J.D. Vance is going to have to come over to Trump's thinking on that. You think it's possible that you could see corporate taxes go up?
Well, I think you've got to look at it in terms of the broader issue that we've got to get another round of tax reform done, probably with expiration of certain provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that's coming up next year. And in the context of a bigger package to keep individual rates down, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me to see corporate rates be a piece of that.
But overall, I think the approach to deficit reduction it's going to be more on growth than it is on trying to trying to cut spending, even though they didn't do it very well last time, than raising taxes. Don't you think? I mean, the tax cutting hat that Republicans and conservatives wear, they're not going to change that hat.
I don't know. I'm not so sure anymore, Joe. I mean, I think that there is an orthodoxy shift going on here in the Republican Party. I think we are seeing this move toward economic populism is real. And it's very hard from a political perspective, I think, for politicians to feel like they can explain why corporate tax rates have to be kept low to the average American voter. And I think that's part of the challenge that's animating why we see this shift away from this orthodoxy around lower corporate tax rates. But I don't think, like, in and of itself that they're going to go out and set out to raise the corporate tax rate. I think in the context of tax reform, everything's on the table.
It's like one of the 10 Commandments. I mean, you number one, it gets passed along to consumers, and number two, we're trying to compete globally. You'd rather have those dollars, put into innovation, or maybe it's not hiring, but because you can't automatically say if a company has more money, they're going to hire people unless there's the demand. But it's sort of a basic tenet. I'd go to zero if I could make the case. You should go to zero globally, just to compete globally, but that's never going to happen. Larry Kudlow has been saying zero forever, as you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm with you on this. I think I completely agree. I completely agree. I'm just saying I'm trying to explain what it is that we're seeing.
I know.
The shift in the Republican Party.
That's a total. Then some Republicans don't know what the hell they're signing on to then. And we'll have Orrin Cass on, because I was like, last time I said, you're out of your mind. There's no way that's happening. But you think it's a possibility. All right.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.